Well, hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. If you are new here, my name is Sophia and I make book-related videos, mainly videos about literary fiction as well as mystery thriller books, but a little bit of everything. And today I am back with my summer TBR. So every season I like to do a seasonal TBR where I discuss some books that I would like to get to over the next season. I am a mood reader for sure. And so there certainly are going to be other things that pop up along the way that I want to read. And this is not a comprehensive list of everything that I will get to. But I like to give myself a little bit of guidance of things that I want to keep on my radar for the next season. This TBR is a lot more extensive than my previous ones have been, so I'm giving myself a bit more structure for summer than I usually do. I was channeling my inner, go to the library and have a summer reading map and just cross things off. And so I think that's what I want to do for the summer. Just giving myself a bit more structure, a bit more of a strict what I want to get to. So I'm rambling. There are a lot of books on this TBR list. I'm going to try and group them into different categories, and some of them don't quite fit into a category, but let's just get into it. So the first category is Women's Prize backlisted books that I've had on my channel for a really long time. Usually I do some sort of Women's Prize challenge where I try to read a lot of those books around the time between the long list and the short list. And this year I didn't, but past years I have purchased a lot of the Women's Prize shortlisted, long-listed books and not gotten to them. And they're still on my shelf, and I would really love to get to them this reading season. So first off, we have Flamingo by Rachel Elliott. The cover of this just screamed summer to me. This is about a Maine son and mother, and they move into this house right next to this couple who has a few daughters, and they kind of have this found family relationship, but then I think some secrets are revealed and not everything is quite what it seems. This seems like a really fun time. I remember when this came onto the Women's Prize long list, people hadn't heard about it, and the more people that read it really, really enjoyed it. So I think I'm going to enjoy this one, just reading by the pool. Next, we have Careless by Christy Capes. I think this was in the same year, actually, that Flamingo was. The description of this on Goodreads was chef's kiss phenomenal. So I'm just going to read it to you guys. It says, sometimes it's easy to fall between the cracks. At 3:04 p.m. on a hot, sticky day in June, Bess finds out she's pregnant. She could tell her social worker, Henry, but he's useless. She could tell her foster mother, Lisa, but she won't understand. She really ought to tell Boy, but she hasn't spoken to him in weeks. Bess knows more than anyone that love doesn't come without conditions, but this isn't a love story. Sign me up. And the last Women's Prize book that I would love to get to is Dominicana by Angie Cruz. I think this was from an earlier year, if I'm remembering. And this is about a 15-year-old girl who lives in the Dominican Republic, and she decides to marry this man and move to New York because she's always wanted to come to the United States. And when she gets there and she's in this marriage, she realizes it's not what she thought it was going to be, and she tries to leave to come back to the Dominican Republic, but ultimately her husband's brother convinces her to stay in New York. It sounds like a really interesting kind of coming of age, traumatizing story, and I've heard really good things about it. Next up, I think for the summer, I'm going to do an author video of Tori Peters. So Tori Peters has written 2 books, Stag Dance and Detransition Baby. Detransition Baby was shortlisted or longlisted for something. That book was very popular when it came out. And Stag Dance is a short story collection that just came out recently. And I think it would make for a really fun author video. So that should be coming up. These also, I don't know why, but these covers just remind me, they scream summer to me. Speaking of other covers that scream summer, we have China Rich Girlfriend. So I read Crazy Rich Asians several years ago, and I kind of forgot about the series, to be honest. But last summer, I read a book by Kevin Kwan called Lies and Weddings, I believe, that I just loved. I thought was so fun. It ended up in my end of the year, favorite books of the year honorable mention. So I would love to kind of dive back into that series for the summer. They're very quick. They're kind of turn your brain off, rompy, like fun summer reads, but this cover also screams summer to me. Finally, we have Ghosts by Dolly Alderton. This is also a very summery cover, at least in my mind. This one, it's about a 32-year-old named Nina. She's very independent, successful. She's a cookbook author, and she finds this guy that she's dating who ends up ghosting her, and it's kind of about the fallout of that, but also about like that age of being 30, like early 30s, which is where I am. And, you know, some people have families and you're just kind of like stuck in between. And it sounds like it's going to be a really interesting kind of commentary about the particular age that I'm living in right now. Another summary cover book is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This was another one that was on a lot of book prize lists when it came out, and I never really got to it. This book follows the aftermath of this one night where this babysitter, I believe, is accused of kidnapping a child. I've heard really excellent things about it. And last kind of summary cover book is The Overstory by Richard Powers. I've never read any of his work, so I don't really know what to expect, but I've heard that his books are kind of sweeping, epic tales of a lot of different characters pieced together. And this one is pitched in a really interesting way. It's relating to like the branches of a tree. So I think there's a couple characters that are like the roots, and then there's a couple characters or like a couple stories that are the trunk and the leaves. Not quite sure how it's pieced together, but that just sounded so interesting to me. And I know that he's been putting out a lot of books recently, so he certainly has a lot that I could dive into if I enjoy it. Next is reading books from authors that I've loved before. So first off is Taylor Jenkins Reid has a new book coming out called Atmosphere. This is a book about a woman who starts to work for NASA and like starts moving up in NASA. I love books about women in STEM, as I am one myself. Then we have People Like Us. So this is a new Jason Mott. I read Hell of a Book for the National Book Award shortlist several years ago, whenever it was shortlisted, and became obsessed with it and loved that book. He does such a great job of like piecing in drama with humor. And this one sounds really interesting. It's about two Black writers trying to find belonging in a world that's ridden with gun violence, and their storylines kind of intertwining. So I think it has a lot to say about that. So it sounds really, really good, and I'm excited to pick it up. And then last but not least, I keep saying I'm going to do this, but I have loved Suzanne Collins's books before. I've loved The Hunger Games before. I've read them before, but I would love to reread them so I can get back up with the series. So when these new releases come out, I can kind of read them along with everybody else, because I did have a little bit of FOMO with the last two releases. So I'd love to read The Hunger Games over summer. Next up, we have some books that were on the Modern Mrs. Darcy Summer Reading Guide. If you have not heard of that before, there's this amazing podcast called What Should I Read Next? And it's hosted by a lady named Anne Bogle, I think is her last name. And she has a book club. But she puts out a lot of like book guides. So she does a summer book preview, a fall book preview, and a summer reading guide. And her summer reading guide has basically titles that she has read and she's got arcs of that she thinks are going to be big titles and that she loved. And so I would love to read some of the titles on that guide. I have purchased them, so that's already kind of a reading vlog that's going to happen. The first one is It's a Love Story. This is a rom-com-y type book that I don't know too much about, but I've heard really good things about it. The next one is The Road to Tender Heart, which I got from the bookstore a little while ago. It's right here, and I'm obsessed with this cover. I think this is a road trip book. So it says a darkly comic and warm-hearted novel about an old man on a cross-country mission to reunite with his high school crush, bringing together his adult daughter, two orphan kids, a cat who can predict death. Sounds like a fun time. I would also love to get to The Bright Years by Sarah Damoff. This has been getting really, really good reviews on Goodreads. It already has 4.29 stars. And it says, one family, four generations, a secret son, a devastating addiction. So I think it's one of those like follows the family over many years and many members of the family type of books. I do have it from the library. It is on my shelf somewhere here. You guys can probably see it and I can't. But I think that would be a really fun one to read for summer. And last but certainly not least, we have mystery thrillers, because what is summer without a good mystery thriller? So first off, we have Count My Lies. This is a new thriller that's been getting a lot of buzz about a woman who just is like a pathologic liar, and it's kind of one of those like unhinged ones, like the woman just like keeps doing crazy things, and I love that trope. Next, we have Heartwood by Amity Grace, which is right here. This is a missing person story. I think a hiker disappears. Yeah. A hiker mysteriously disappears, and it's like a suspenseful novel about what actually happened. I would love to read the next Miss Marple mystery, which is The Moving Finger. I have been doing a dedicated reviews for all of the Miss Marple books, so hopefully that will happen over the summer. I also would love to read the new Riley Sager, because as we learned, I'm an auto-buy author to Ruth Ware, Riley Sager, and Ashley Flowers at this point, so I'd love to read his book. I think it's a mystery that takes place on a train. And finally, there's a mystery series that has always got really amazing reviews, and it just seems so summery to me, and it's called The Stillhouse Lake is the first one. So I believe it is about her realizing that her husband has a secret life as a serial killer, and then obviously the crazy fallout of that. So those are all of the books that I definitely would like to get to over the summer, but of course there will be more. Let me know if you've read any of these, what you thought of them, if there are any of these you think I should prioritize sooner rather than later. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys all very soon with another video. Bye!